everyone, a very good afternoon. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now with me, Mubina Kapasi. Markets looking pretty strong. We have a bounce that we are witnessing after several days of a decline. 12,250 seems to be just about near and within our reach. Let's kickstart Market Fatafat. Then today we have with us Vikas Jain of Reliance Securities, and from our research desk, Soumya and Vinny are joining in. Afternoon, everyone, and let's kickstart the show with the stock that's been trading at lifetime highs, and that is AU Small Finance. Look at the way the stock is buzzing. It has in fact surged almost 15% in the last 2 days. Yes, we did have the result reaction as well coming in over there, but more importantly, Morgan Stanley has upgraded the stock big time. In fact, they've upgraded the EPS estimates by more than 10%. So that's quite an ambitious target they're keeping for AU Small, which has, by the way, surpassed the 1,000 rupee mark yet again. Like I said, at a lifetime high, and it's in the last 2 trading sessions that we've seen a significant amount of traction today as well. In fact, as we speak, there's a sharp spike in the stock. It's now, in fact, gaining 5% at the day's high. Like you can see, a very, very sharp spike seen as we speak on the stock. But on the flip side, Soumya, PNB Housing, look at the way this stock is slumping. Were the third quarter numbers indeed that bad?
Well, yes, in fact, Mubina, they were really bad on both profit line and net interest income. They were lower than our expectations. In fact, lower than the street expectations. Profit particularly grew by almost 22% on a YOY basis. We did see sharp decline in the asset quality as well, with GNPAs rising close to 94% on a sequential basis. Having said that, the margins compressed close to about 21 basis points on a QOQ basis. Disbursements were down both YOY and QOQ basis. In fact, this definitely, the fact that there was a sharp deterioration in the asset quality is what's spooking the investors. Apart from this, the company also said that PNB is not looking to actually exit their stake as far as the current holding is concerned, and they will continue to actually maintain a minimum shareholding for around 26% in PNB Housing Finance. Apart from this, we did have a chat with the management of PNB Housing Finance. They said that particularly this quarter was bad, but nevertheless, they believe that going forward things would get better, and Q4 will definitely a better quarter in terms of asset quality and other metrics.
All right, so that's the recommendation. Then on PNB Housing, the stock price has been a bit weak, 10% gone. Okay, Vikas Jain as well joins us now on the show. Vikas, hi. Want to get in your view on a Motherson Sumi. You know, we've seen a nice steady uptick come by in this stock, not just in the last few days, but in the last, I think, couple of months as well, where it has surpassed the 150 rupee mark. Where do you see it move from here?
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Look at Motherson Sumi has seen a strong amount of up move from those 110 levels to 115. Then we have seen a good amount of price-wise as well as time-wise correction. The last 2 days has inched further upwards from the support area of 137.39 and gained momentum. So we believe the positive momentum would continue. The stock could easily test 165 levels over the next few weeks.
Okay, so that is Motherson Sumi for you, and that's Vikas's recommendation. Vinny, aviation stocks, what exactly does HSBC have to say about the entire sector?
Mubina, they are mainly, focusing, saying that, the Q3 earnings are expected to be strong, and, this is mainly due to the seasonal strength which they face during the Q3, and this will obviously offset the cost pressures that the companies are facing. Now, they are saying that Q4 is expected to see strong headwinds, as well as FY21 will also be under pressure. So they are cautious on the aviation sector as a whole, and they have given 2 stock names, that is Indigo, they are reducing their rating, as well as for SpiceJet, they are keeping a hold stance, and that's why these 2 stocks have been in focus today.
Okay, so that's, of course, the view on, aviation. But interestingly, today, both those stocks are gaining pretty smartly. Indigo is higher by, I think, 2% the last time I checked. Even a SpiceJet is gaining by approximately 1% odd. Okay, one more result reaction, and that is in the form of Chola Finance. Look at the way the stock is gaining. It's certainly inching higher after it delivered its third quarter numbers, which were pretty encouraging. On a consolidated basis, we had Chola's net profit rising 22% at 389 crore rupees. And we also saw a 23% rise in total income at 2,220 28 crore rupees. Disbursements, however, were a bit concerning because that fell by 2%. But it was the vehicle finance business that really did underperform naturally because of the fact that we know the auto sector is having a tough time, more particularly the commercial vehicle segment, which Chola does cater to, in a big way. Its capital adequacy ratio was at about 17%, but they did have an encouraging 25% rise in assets under management, or the AUM. After all, the give and take, Chola is now sitting on gains of about 1/3%. Okay, Vikas, another NBFC that we'd like to flag off is Equitas. What's your view here?
View continues to remain positive because if you look at the stock has seen a good strong bottom formation near to those 101 to 103 levels. Yesterday also the stock witnessed good amount of positive build-up in the derivative side of the market, and today also the stock is cracking off and continues to remain positive. So we remain positive on the stock. One minor resistance is near to the 200-day average of 113, 114. Once that has been crossed, we believe the stock would see some form of move near to 120 odd levels.
Okay, that's Equitas for you. It's 3.6% of gains. And Samya, what's your view on what's the result like for HDFC Life? How has the company done?
Well, talking about this one, I would classify it as a mixed set of numbers. Profit saw a muted growth of around 2%. However, for the 9 months FY20, we did see VNB growth of around 45%. And in fact, APE growth was also strong at around 31% on a YOY basis. Having said that, the margins were a bit of a disappointment, coming in at around 26.6%, which saw a slight blip when it compared to first half of FY20, wherein we saw margins of around 27.5%. So apart from this, I think the results were pretty much fair. Margins were a disappointment. Talking about these results, we even had Credit Suisse maintaining their neutral stance, and in fact they cut their AP growth for FY20 and also trimmed their EPS estimates for FY20 and 21, and they're maintaining their neutral stance, along with Prabhudas Lilladher, who are also maintaining a hold stance on the stock.
Okay, so that's HDFC Life. It's losing today in trade, 1.6% gone. Vinny, we're waiting by for the JSW Steel numbers. What's the stock doing ahead of that?
So, Mubina, we are seeing an up move in the stock, though a slight movement in the stock, and now we are expecting a weak set of numbers, though. We are seeing that the revenue is to see a decline of around 13%, and will stand at around 17,690. This is mainly due to the depressed realizations that may hit the revenue. Now, even the profits are supposed to decline by 72% to stand at 457 crores. While we may see some volume pick up on a YOY basis and a QOQ basis, so let's see how that actually works out for the company. There are certain factors which we'll be keeping an eye out for. That will be the domestic steel demand, the movement in average steel realizations, as well as the raw material pricing is what we'll keep an eye out for during the earnings, Mubina.
Okay, so that's essentially the view coming in then on JSW Steel. Let's see how the numbers do. Remember, the numbers will be delivered only post-market hours in all probability. Let's take a look at Indoco Remedies. The stock today is down. It's down by more than 6%. Now, remember that going into the third quarter numbers, we had seen a 10% rally in the stock price. And yes, they did manage to maintain good momentum on the revenue front. And while brokerages as well like the third quarter numbers, what they are saying is that the valuations at 218 are already factoring in the growth. In fact, many of them had their target price as well at just about 220, 225 rupees, and that's really where the stock is currently trading at. In fact, it was trading at when Indoco delivered its third quarter numbers. So as you can see, it's ebbed off quite a bit now from there. It's at 219 rupees, 6% gone for this one. So a bit of profit booking, if you could call it that, coming in an Indoco Remedies post the third quarter numbers. Okay, and Vikas, let's talk about Vedanta then. What exactly is the view here? Because once again, metal stocks are buzzing away in trade.
Metals have been buzzing around, but Vedanta has been a really good underperformer. The stock just trending between this range of 155 to 165 levels over the past many weeks. No doubt it has good support near to 145, 146. So the risk-reward ratio is in favorable of longs. One can continue its positive momentum till 145 is not breached on the downside.
Okay, so that's then the recommendation on Vedanta. It's, by the way, at the day's high as we speak. We'll take a very short break right here on the show. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with a countdown. Welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now. Let's continue with our countdown. Soumya, India Bulls Housing Finance buzzing today in trade. What's the reason?
Well, we're flagging this one off on back of a bull deal that took place post-market hours that we were updated off. Well, Credit Suisse Singapore has actually bought in close to about 22.9 lakh shares at the price of 312 rupees per share. Apart from this, we did have the management earlier this week wherein we spoke to Gagan Banga, and he said that as far as the company's overall outlook is concerned, they're targeting a profit of around mid-teens, and in fact not just this, they're also targeting an AUM growth of around 20%. So given this bull deal, which is seeing a lot of investor interest in the stock, and the fact that the management is also optimistic when it comes to the outlook of the company, we're seeing smart investor interest and the stock reacting positively to all of this.
That it is, but remember, these are, of course, those promissory note-related investments as well, in India Bulls Housing Finance. Okay, Vinny, meantime, GHCL, how are the third quarter numbers?
The third quarter numbers, Mubina, have been very weak for GHCL, and we are seeing that impact on the stock price as well today. It has been falling since morning. Now, the revenues have remained flat with a negative bias at around 840 crores. The PAT has also fallen down by around 4%, and it stands at around 97 crores. Margins have seen a 300 basis point decline, more than 300 basis points decline around. Now, also there was another announcement which came along with the earnings. That was, the board has approved a buyback of the shares aggregating to around 60 crores, but the investors are not seeming to like the stock price today, especially the earnings not very positive on it, and that's why we are seeing a fall in the stock price as well.
That we are 2.24% gone, but Soumya, one stock that's gaining very smartly, or rather falling very, very sharply, is Zensar Tech. What's the reason?
Well, they declared the Q3 results yesterday. In fact, these numbers are pretty much weak, with the rupee revenue coming in down by about 4.9% on a sequential basis. In fact, not just this, the dollar revenue also saw a degrowth, whereas the analysts were expecting a slight or very modest growth as far as dollar revenue is concerned. The profits plunged sharply by over 50% compared to the last quarter. Margin also compressed by over 250 basis points. In all, the company's results are pretty much bad and below street expectations, and that's the reason we're seeing sharp reaction in the stock, which is falling close to about 11.2% as we speak.
That it is a very, very sharp reaction seen in the stock price. Let's continue with our countdown, and Biocon is a stock we'd like to flag off. Our revenues are higher by 13.4%, but it's the profit after tax that's actually declined 6.7%. Now, if we have to remove the Syngene portion of the business, it's interesting to note that the company has actually posted an inline set of numbers. Biologics, that part of the business, continues to be the key driver. In fact, Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw was on the channel as well earlier, and she said that she expects that FY21 will continue to be a strong year for biologics. So that is something that's interesting to watch out for. But the stock price is down by about 1/3%. Okay, moving on, Vikas, let's talk about a power grid. You know, this entire AGR bit has got the PSU space pretty flummoxed. But today, however, NTPC GAIL may be gaining, but this one's actually the only loser. Anything that you're observing?
Well, if you look at the start of the week, the stock gave a breakout and made a high near to those 211 levels, but it got completely sold off. So nothing major move has been seen into the stock. So we believe the stock might see further correction and might touch the lower band average of around 185-187 levels from where it started.
Okay, Power Grid is currently at 197 rupees. Soumya, let's talk about, before we go across to Soumya, let's talk about RBL Bank, because that stock is losing today in trade. Remember, we did have the third quarter numbers that were delivered, and it looked like, a bit of a tough, spot that the bank has caught itself in, especially on the asset quality front. However, Citi today has still maintained a buy with the target price at 415 rupees, as they believe that stress pool is essentially unchanged. However, going forward, what they would like to watch out for is any sort of rating mix. That's going to be extremely important. But purely from an operational front, it's interesting to note that it's the net interest margin expansion that's really aided the profits prior to provisioning. So that's extremely important to note. Operationally, the company still seems to be pretty okay. It's the asset quality bit that may have some problems. The stock price, however, today, despite this buy stance being maintained by a global capital brokerage like Citi still is down by approximately 2% Okay, moving on, Vikas, let's talk about a prestige estate. The stock has been trading extremely strongly. The real estate pack in itself has kick-started 2020 at a great note. All real estate stocks have been gaining today. However, it's taken a bit of a breather. So do you think this is a good time for traders to perhaps nibble into the stock?
If you look at this stock, I agree with you. It has been a continuous outperformer and it has been trading at all-time high since listing. But again, the mid-caps, whenever they correct pretty sharp, and today the reversal is the first day. So it's better to put some profits and wait for some amount of corrective action near to 365, 370 levels.
Okay, it's 3% of losses seen on a prestige estate today in trade at 388.7 rupees. Okay, Vinny, let's talk about another result candidate for today. Apart from JSW Steel, a Nifty company, we're also expecting UltraTech Cement to deliver its third quarter numbers. Firstly, ahead of the numbers, we are seeing the stock gaining. Now, what exactly is the ET Now poll suggesting? What could UltraTech Cement deliver?
Mubina, I think we are, expecting a good set of numbers from UltraTech. Now, the revenue is supposed to be up by around 17% to stand at around 10,300 crores. Well, the PAT is also supposed to see a nice surge of 64% and to stand at 740 crores on a year-on-year basis now. The margins are also supposed to see an improvement at 20.2% versus 15.8% on a year-on-year basis. Certain highlights which we'll be looking out for is we expect the volume growth to do quite well and grow marginally, while we expect the realizations to remain muted on and due to the decline see a decline on a QOQ basis. But there are factors which we'll keep an eye out for. One will be the cement price outlook, the volume growth, as well as the update on any acquisitions or expansion is what we'll keep an eye out for during UltraTech Cement's results.
Okay, that we will. And like I said, ahead of the numbers, UltraTech Cement is gaining approximately 0.7%, and that's really the trend seen even in a JSW Steel. Both of them, I think, mostly will come out with their numbers only post-market hours. Okay, Soumya, let's talk about another stock, and that is KEI Industries. It's approved its QIP. Now, what exactly is KEI going to be using the funds for?
Mubina, talking about this one, the latest incremental update that's coming in from the company is they've set the floor price at around 500 rupees, 18 rupees per share for its QIP, which is close to about 500 odd crore rupees. Well, this is definitely company's strategy in order to go for some growth prospects going forward. Having said that, they recently released their Q3 results and they were pretty much strong. And these robust results have been in focus and keeping the stock active and buzzing in trade for the last couple of days.
Okay, so that's KEI Industries for you. It's gaining approximately 4%. 518 is where the QIP price is set at. But with that, we'll wrap it up on this edition of Market Fatafat. Vikas, Soumya, as well as Vinny, thank you for joining in. Stay tuned. Closing trades comes up after a very short break.